From the Quranic perspective, the Bible and other earlier texts needed correcting because they were believed to have been altered or misinterpreted over time. The Quran teaches that God sent previous prophets, like Moses and Jesus, with revelations in the form of the Torah and the Gospel, Injil. However, it is believed that the original messages were either lost or changed, whether through textual corruption or by misinterpreting their meanings.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dalam sebuah eksperimen sederhana yang menarik, pemilik channel Hans Meditation menguji kemampuan ChatGPT dengan menanyakan pertanyaan yang sering menjadi perdebatan. Apakah Al-Quran menjiplak kitab-kitab suci sebelumnya? Bagaimana jawaban dari ChatGPT? Mari kita saksikan video selengkapnya.
Hello ChatGPT, I have a question. Does the Quran copy other religions? Yes or no?
No, the Quran does not copy other religions. It acknowledges the shared history with Judaism and Christianity, as all three are Abrahamic religions. But it presents itself as a continuation and clarification of previous scriptures. While the Quran mentions figures like Moses and Jesus, it offers unique teachings, corrections, and emphasizes the oneness of God. Muslims believe the Quran is a direct revelation from God to Prophet Muhammad, not a copy of earlier texts. Let me know if you'd like to dive deeper into this.
So, why did the Bible and these other texts in the Quranic perspective need correcting?
From the Quranic perspective, the Bible and other earlier texts needed correcting because they were believed to have been altered or misinterpreted over time. The Quran teaches that God sent previous prophets, like Moses and Jesus, with revelations in the form of the Torah and the Gospel, Injil. However, it is believed that the original messages were either lost or changed, whether through textual corruption or by misinterpreting their meanings. As a result, certain theological errors and practices arose, diverging from the pure monotheism and original guidance that God intended. For example, the Quran points out that the idea of associating partners with God, such as the Christian doctrine of the Trinity, is a deviation from the core belief in the oneness of God, Tauhid.
Jawaban yang diberikan oleh kecerdasan buatan tersebut ternyata sangat mengagumkan dan tepat sasaran. ChatGPT menjelaskan bahwa Al-Quran sama sekali bukan hasil penjiplakan dari kitab-kitab Samawi terdahulu, melainkan datang sebagai penyempurna wahyu-wahyu yang telah diturunkan sebelumnya. Penjelasan tersebut diperkuat oleh fakta bahwa konsep ketuhanan dalam Islam dan agama-agama Samawi sebelumnya tetap pada esensi yang sama, yaitu prinsip tauhid, keyakinan akan keesaan Allah.
It also corrects stories of previous prophets, like the stories of Adam, Noah, Abraham, and Jesus, providing details that align with the Quranic view of monotheism and God's purpose for humanity. Therefore, the Quran is seen by Muslims as the final and unaltered revelation that restores the true message of God. It confirms much of what came before, but also provides the necessary clarifications and corrections to ensure that God's guidance is preserved in its pure form. Would you like to explore more specific examples of these corrections, or how the Quran addresses certain biblical stories?
Yes, I would actually like you to tell me a couple of the biggest corrections that you believe from the Quran that I and other people would find are the most interesting.
Sure. Let's explore a couple of key corrections or clarifications that the Quran provides regarding stories or teachings found in earlier texts, particularly the Bible. These examples tend to stand out because they address major theological and narrative differences. 1. Jesus Isa and the concept of divinity. One of the biggest corrections in the Quran is related to the identity of Jesus. In Christianity, Jesus is viewed as the Son of God and part of the Trinity. However, the Quran strongly emphasizes that Jesus was not divine, nor the Son of God, but rather a prophet and messenger. The Quran highlights his miraculous birth and acknowledges his role in guiding the children of Israel. But it makes clear that he was fully human and a servant of God. Quranic correction. The Messiah, Jesus, son of Mary, was no more than a messenger of Allah and his word, which he conveyed to Mary, and a spirit created by a command from him. So believe in Allah and his messengers and do not say, Trinity. Stop. It is better for you. Allah is only one God. He is far above having a son. Quran 4:171.
Dengan demikian, Al-Quran hadir bukan untuk menggantikan secara sewenang-wenang, melainkan untuk meluruskan berbagai kesalahpahaman, penyimpangan, dan distorsi yang telah terjadi terhadap kitab-kitab sebelumnya seiring berjalannya waktu. Dalam konteks ini, Al-Quran berfungsi sebagai koreksi dan penegasan ulang terhadap pesan-pesan ilahi yang sebenarnya.
The Quran aims to correct what it views as the misconception of associating partners with God and reasserts the belief in strict monotheism, Tawheed. 2. The story of Abraham and his son's sacrifice. Another key difference is the story of Abraham's sacrifice. In the Bible, it is widely accepted in Christian and Jewish traditions that Abraham was commanded to sacrifice his son Isaac. The Quran, however, does not explicitly name the son. While many Islamic scholars believe the son was Ismail, the Quran focuses more on Abraham's obedience to God and the willingness of his son to be sacrificed. Quranic correction. The Quran recounts the story as follows. Then when the boy reached the age to work with him, Abraham said, "O my dear son, I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you. So tell me what you think." He replied, "O my dear father, do as you are commanded. God willing, you will find me steadfast." Quran 37:1 or 2. This correction places emphasis on the idea that the son willingly accepted God's command, showing both Abraham and his son's submission to God's will, which is central to Islam's meaning, submission to God. 3. The crucifixion of Jesus. One of the most significant differences is the Quran's rejection of the crucifixion. While the Bible teaches that Jesus was crucified and resurrected, the Quran denies that he was killed on the cross. It states that Jesus was not crucified, but that it only appeared so to the people, and God raised him up instead. Quranic correction. And for their saying, "Indeed, we have killed the Messiah, Jesus, the son of Mary, the messenger of Allah. And they did not kill him, nor did they crucify him. But another was made to resemble him to them." And indeed, those who differ over it are in doubt about it. They have no knowledge of it, except the following of assumption, and they did not kill him, for certain. Quran 4:157. The Quran's correction here is to refute the idea that Jesus died for humanity's sins, and to reaffirm the Islamic view that each person is accountable for their own actions before God. 4. Original sin and human nature. The Bible introduces the concept of original sin, where Adam and Eve's disobedience in the Garden of Eden leads to the fallen state of humanity. In Christianity, this concept often leads to the belief that all humans are born with sin that must be redeemed. The Quran takes a different stance. While it acknowledges Adam and Eve's disobedience, it teaches that after they sinned, they sought God's forgiveness and were forgiven. There is no concept of inherited sin. Instead, each person is born in a state of purity, fitra.
Wow. That's, you know what? My favorite thing was the story of Abraham and the son.
Yeah.
Because I remember even whenever I was a kid, I was listening to it and, we're learning about it in Bible, in the, Bible study in church. And they're telling you like, hey, God said to sacrifice his son. And this is how I was told the story. Like he was like, had the son like type, like bent over about to, murder him right then and there. Like, yo, he's about to do it. And then God stopped him like, yo, stop. Now I know you're about it. So, you don't have to do it anymore. That's how I was, told. Is that how you were told the story?
For some reason, that story, I don't really remember learning about it.
You don't remember learning about that?
I'm sure I did, but it's really not in my memory. Like, I don't know that story very well, to be honest with you.
Something like God blesses something that he would sacrifice his only son.
I know like Cain and Abel.
No, this was like he was going to sacrifice his only son. And it's so... I don't want to say weird, but it's like I don't know, like I get like this like tingling feeling whenever we talk about it, the Quran and all that, because it really is like it just makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like what makes more sense? God said, "Hey, murder your son," and then you go and kill him, and then God's like, "No." Or it makes more sense that he said, "Hey, I had a dream that I should sacrifice you," and both him and the son both, subservient to God, are like, hey, if that's what God said, you got to do what you got to do. I'll be all right. Because it takes a real soldier to look at that and be like, I'll be okay. And I talk a lot about my own story and how I had stage 5 kidney disease and healed from it because what healed me was God, because I had to connect to God, let God into my body, and God healed me.
Nah, itulah jawaban menarik dari ChatGPT yang justru memperkuat keyakinan kita akan keagungan Al-Quran. Jangan lupa untuk like video ini, tekan tombol subscribe agar tidak ketinggalan konten-konten bermanfaat berikutnya. Terima kasih sudah menyaksikan, semoga kita selalu diberikan hidayah dan ketenangan hati. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.